Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest severe weather coverage. I think we are live. I hope we are. Just let me make sure. Hope everybody's doing well this evening, and I think we are. So, 1 second, let me pull up the chat here. All right, so we are in a robust setup, as you can tell. I'm going to do a little 1 hour, probably, severe weather coverage, and I'll tell you why in a moment, but there is severe weather, obviously, happening right now, and we're going to kind of break down what's happening right now, what's ahead for the next several hours, just kind of give you a breakdown of what's expected between now and about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, because the majority of the severe weather today has already happened, I think, but I do think we're still going to have some severe weather over the next several hours, as we still have over a dozen severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have about 20 right now, so there's a lot of warnings currently that are out there across a large chunk of the United States. So we're going to kind of break down what's happening out there and give you an idea of what the severe weather looks like for the next few hours, and if there will be any more tornadoes, which so far we've had no tornadoes at least confirmed. We haven't even had a tornado warning yet to begin with, so that's what we've been looking at so far. But we're going to kind of break down what's happening and give you an idea of what to expect over the next several hours. Now, before I go into the actual live stream, I just want to preface here that I am on vacation. You can tell I am not in the studio. There is a pole behind me. I'm at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and I am obviously on vacation. With that said, there's a lot of lightning outside, and it's been raining, so I have nothing else to do other than basically do this. So there you go. All right, let's kind of get into severe weather coverage, and also today's live stream is brought to you by Radar Omega. If you need a weather app, you can check it out with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. All right, so the bulk of the severe weather that we've had over the last several hours has been in western Illinois, southeastern Iowa, and northeastern Missouri, where there is continuation of damaging winds, large hail. We did at one point have upwards of softball-sized hail, which you can see this on the report back over in northern Missouri, back over near Glenwood, of there being upwards of 4-inch diameter hail. So we've actually already seen significant hail already today. 4-inch sized hail is huge. We're talking the size of softballs. I believe we also had upwards of grapefruit-sized hail, which is about 4.5 inches in diameter, in that same general vicinity. And so there has been a lot of hail over that direction. And again, 3 different reports here of softball-sized hail. With that said, significant hail has been the main concern today, and that really was the main concern going into today. Now, from here, we are going to start to see these storms start to cluster a bit more together and become a lot more of a wind and hail threat as these storms continue to move throughout parts of central and western Illinois, and even into northeastern Missouri, and as well as southeastern Iowa, where damaging winds, large to very large hail, and maybe an isolated tornado over the next few hours are going to be the main concerns. But I said isolated tornado, and the reason why is because I don't expect much of a tornado threat to really come out of this activity. We could get something in here. Obviously, there's a lot of storm activity in here, but the wind shear just is not that impressive. So I'm not super concerned right now about the tornado risk. I'm more concerned right now about the hail and wind risk. We could still get an isolated tornado, though, out of something like this here, like near Macomb right now. There's a storm here that has at least a little bit of rotation, but overall it's been mostly a wind and hail threat with almost all these storms here for the last several hours. We've actually seen the greatest tornado risk today back over in Canada. There's been almost at least 6 tornado warnings, I think, so far today, and there has actually been strong rotation at times back over in like Ottawa, for example. So it's definitely been pretty active up there. Severe thunderstorm watches are ongoing all the way through Michigan. They go all the way back through Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa, where the main concern, again, is going to be damaging winds and large hail. We could see an isolated tornado again, basically anywhere in this yellow shaded area. Back over in Kansas, we also have a train of thunderstorms that's developed over this direction, really along Interstate 70, and back over into southwestern Kansas, where the main concern does continue to be damaging winds and large hail. We could also get an isolated brief spin up over here, but I think the tornado risk is going to be on the lower side of things. And again, notice we have 2 different outflow boundaries here that are basically indicating that this is just all outflow driven storm activity in southwestern Kansas, and this will be mostly a wind threat. Now, this severe thunderstorm watch here goes all the way until 11, and then the other watches in Illinois, Iowa, and as well as back into Missouri go until 10 o'clock tonight. Notice Chicago, they are not under a watch anymore. I don't expect storms to fire up there at this point, but I do think the main bulk of the severe weather that we'll be covering over the next hour or two will be here in Missouri, Illinois, and a little sliver there of southeastern Iowa. So that is the main concern for the next few hours. Just kind of a quick little rundown. And again, tornado risk should stay low. It's not zero. And again, we'll be live here probably for the next hour or so. We will have Storm Chaser, Stormer Media with us, and as well as Connor Croft if he goes live again, which I don't know if he's going to. But I noticed he did end his live stream, at least temporarily. He might go live again. And also Brandon Kopic's out there, so if he has any sort of view of anything, we'll definitely check in on him here on the Radar Omega app. And again, he's right now along Interstate 72, so we'll keep a close eye on him. This is Brandon Kopic. Let me just pull him up here real quickly, unless he's going to be loading here for a second. Here we go. So this is the storm back over in western Illinois right now. That is currently producing some large hail and damaging winds. This has been quite a long track supercell. I've been watching this on radar for hours now. Literally, I've been like checking out on the radar here and there periodically because the weather is just so bad here in Florida right now. So I've been periodically checking in on this particular storm as it's been going for quite a while. It is still producing some hail and wind. There's been some broad circulation with this one. I think a lot of these storms honestly have had broad rotation for quite some time. But nothing's really developed into a tornado threat at this point, which is good news. I do think if we get a tornado risk in the next hour, it'll probably be this storm here near Macomb. If not, we could see something come out of this one just south of Rushville here in Illinois, but that still remains to be seen at this point. We also have storms back over in Iowa, but this is just a environment that's already been used up by other storm activity. So I think the main concern with these ones right along the Iowa and Illinois border and even the Missouri border will be predominantly a wind and hail threat, maybe an isolated brief tornado, but I think the greatest concern there will be definitely wind and hail. And there you go, we have a tornado warning just like that. I don't know if the sound effect played or glitched out, but we do have a new tornado warning. That's going to be for McDonald County, Illinois. That actually might be on this storm that we're just talking about near Macomb. I'm trying to double check that. But if you're in McDonough County, yeah, there you go. So this is your tornado warning. If you are north of Macomb, you need to seek shelter, get away from windows, and get on the lowest floor possible and in an interior room of your home or building. And yeah, this one's definitely going to have the capability of producing a tornado. This one has had strong rotation for really the last several minutes now, going towards Bushnell. So if you're in Bushnell, Illinois, you are going to have to seek shelter now, away from windows, lowest floor possible, and in an interior room of your home or building, if you are in this warning. By the way, did the sound effect play? I don't know if it's working. But either way, this is a pretty strong area of rotation right now, just southwest of London Mills, and it's eventually going to be going towards Lewistown, and it's also going in the direction of Havana, going towards Route 24 eventually. And by the way, this is the first tornado warning of the day in the Midwest, which is actually not super surprising, but that's the first tornado warning that we have here. Played and glitched out. Let me try it again.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
All right, there we go. It should have worked that time. So again, this is in McDonough County. This storm right now moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. Again, this just got warned as a tornado warning north of Macomb. Rotation, again, is not super strong, tight, and confined. It's not a confirmed tornado by any means, but it is a discrete supercell, and a cell like this will have the best chance of producing a tornado as this moves down to the southeast. We do have a close-up radar site here, and that one's not going to show us anything, so we're not going to use that one. Let me just double check. Yeah, this radar site doesn't show you the velocities very well. Let's look at the reflectivity. Yeah, all right, we'll stay on the other radar site. There's a little regional terminal radar site there, but it's not really fantastic. This is the other radar site that's going to be over closer to Lincoln. We also have one down to the south, or actually up back to the north, so the Davenport one. The Davenport one gives us a pretty good indication of that rotation here. These are the winds going towards the radar, just to the west of Bushnell, and then these are the winds going away from the radar. That right there is where we'll be watching for the potential of a tornado. Again, by no means is this gonna definitely happen, but if this does happen, we could end up seeing a tornado. So again, if you are in this warning near Bushnell, Illinois, again, please get to your safe place, get away from windows, get on the lowest floor possible, and get into an interior room of your home or building. Let me quickly take off Canada warnings, because I had those on before. Unless we start talking about Canada, I'm just going to turn these tornado warnings off, just so the warning counter is correct. All right. So, once again, if you're in Bushnell, you need to seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. If you're in Bushnell, Illinois, and again, this storm right now moving east, southeast, and southeast at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. It's not a slow-moving storm by any means. It is definitely going pretty fast. So if you're in Lewistown or Canton, back over near Route 24 here in parts of western Illinois, just be weather aware. This storm does have a lot of lightning, so it is an intense thunderstorm that is happening right now just off to the northeast of Macomb. And so So even if it doesn't produce a tornado, it's at least going to produce some level of damaging winds and hail, and also a lot of lightning, which could end up leading to some cloud-to-ground lightning, which is another reason why you should at least be indoors, but obviously away from windows if you are in this particular pink polygon, which again is your tornado warning here near Bushnell, Illinois. And again, rotation has not been, weak by any means. It's been rotating really, I would say, for the last probably 20 minutes or so. Really just coming together, though, over the last few radar scans here. So this is definitely a storm that you don't want to be playing around with. Just east of Good Hope, by the way. Again, this is your circulation. I'll just kind of outline this for you. Right along Highway 9, going towards Bushnell, eventually towards Marietta, Smithfield, and Cuba actually will also be on the track of this in Illinois. But only locations right now are Bushnell and Good Hope in this particular tornado warning. And also, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for those in Clay, Ottawa, and Dickinson County, Kansas. That is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and ping-pong ball-sized hail. Again, we'll keep it posted if anything else pops up that's significant. This is definitely the most significant storm, though, that we have right now on radar here in the United States. And again, we're watching anywhere from Colorado and Kansas all the way back into Indiana and Michigan. It's a pretty large area. This is kind of in the middle of everything in Illinois, which this was the main concern heading into today, was going to be in Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. And so far, that has panned out. We had upwards of 4-inch hail earlier, and now we have a potential for a tornado as this moves down to the east-southeast. Once again, radar indicated rotation, but you can see on radar here, we have actually a pretty discrete supercell and a very clean hook echo here as well. Got an inflow notch and everything, so it's definitely an organized supercell, and very well could produce a tornado as this does eventually go eastbound and east-southeast over the next several minutes, eventually going towards Marietta, Smithfield, and Cuba. This is now a confirmed tornado. All right, so this has now just gone upgraded. This is now confirmed and on the ground. So if you are right now in this warning, you need to get underground. If you can, get to your safe place. This is now a confirmed tornado.
This is an urgent alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
So again, this is a confirmed tornado that is on the ground in Illinois. This is going to be, again, going towards Bushnell, just east of Good Hope. And so, again, this has just been confirmed, I believe, by weather spotters. So, again, observed tornado here. This is confirmed right over Scottsburg. So this is now a confirmed on-the-ground tornado, and it's going to be going in the direction of Cuba and Smithfield down the road. Again, weather spotters just observed this tornado moving east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Marietta, Cuba, and Smithfield will eventually be in the track of this, but the tornado itself will be right near Highway 9, eventually going towards Bushnell, and again, going towards Marietta, Smithfield, Cuba, and as well as the Lewistown areas down the road. So if you're in those locations out in front of the tornado warning, just stay vigilant and stay weather aware. If you're in the warning, you need to make sure that you're getting to your safe place now that is either underground or in a, whatever the safe place is, whatever's away from windows and on the lowest floor possible of whatever building you're in. That's a closet, bathroom, storm shelter, basement, any of those 4 places. If you're in a mobile home, you need to find an alternate sturdy structure, or you have to get into a ditch, because at this point, the storm is at least dangerous enough to the point where it is producing a tornado moving down to the southeast. Your Highway 9 right now, and eventually going towards Marietta and as well as Smithfield. So again, all those areas currently in the track of this. The tornado itself would have been, again, just located, possibly now rain-wrapped, because we had a pretty strong inflow here a moment ago. But this would be where your tornado was just located. It was near Scottsburg, which is in between Good Hope and Bushnell here in Illinois. And Bushnell is not a small little town. There's definitely a lot of roads in there, indicating probably at least a decently sized town here. As this moves down to the east-southeast, though, it'll go towards New Philadelphia, Marietta, Poverty Ridge, and Smithfield. So all those areas currently in the track of this, moving down to the east-southeast. So again, if you're in the pink polygon, you need to get underground if you can, get to your safe place, and get away from windows. And we also have another tornado warning now on this area.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
So the new tornado warning is going to be for Fulton County in Illinois. And that is also going to be a confirmed tornado. I believe it might just be an extension of this. We're just waiting for it to pop up. But we do have a new tornado warning for Fulton County, Illinois. So if you're in Fulton County, Illinois, you also need to seek shelter, get away from windows, and get on the lowest floor possible and an interior room of your home or building if you are in Fulton County, Illinois. There you go. All right, so this is the same area, but this is still a confirmed tornado.
This is an urgent alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
So once again, this is a confirmed tornado in western Illinois. This is again near Bushnell, going eventually towards Cuba, Smithfield, and Marietta. If you are in this pink polygon, again, you need to seek shelter, get away from windows, and get on the lowest floor possible. Again, this is a confirmed tornado that's actually now over Bushnell, so that's where the confirmation now is. So this tornado is likely hitting Bushnell, which again, Bushnell is a much more populated town here in western Illinois. It'll eventually go towards Marietta, Smithfield, and as well as Highway 95 over here in Fulton County. So if you're in Fulton County, Illinois, or if you're in McDonough County, Illinois, and you're in the pink polygons, you need to seek shelter, get away from windows, and get on the lowest floor possible, and get into an interior room of your home or building, as this is currently producing a tornado moving to the east-southeast right now. Again, Cuba, Smithfield, and Marietta all in the track of this. There is a pretty strong likelihood that this is going to be, to some fashion, possibly rain-wrapped, so obviously try to at least stay indoors. This is a better view, by the way, that rotation. So it's going to be right over the Bushnell area, west side of Bushnell. That would be where your tornado is located. Don't have any debris signature. We're pretty far away from this storm, but this would be where the tornado is. So it's on the southwest side right now, Bushnell, and it's going to be approaching Highway 41 and Highway 9, and then again, Marietta and the Check Row area will be in the track of this. Again, seek shelter if you're in this warning. This is, again, a confirmed tornado by weather spotters in this area. Let me go back to here. By the way, we do have 18 severe thunderstorm warnings, so there's a lot of weather obviously happening here across the United States. The bulk of the activity, again, will be here in Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. There is still an isolated threat for severe weather elsewhere in areas like Colorado, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, very low risks in those areas. We do have a chance also for severe weather in Kansas, which is a bit more scattered to numerous. A lot of that severe weather over there is currently mostly wind-based and hail-based. I don't think we'll have much of a tornado risk in those areas. So that's the current threat that we have there. Yeah, the gate-to-gate shear is not going to be impressive on this storm. Mainly, it's not going to be that high because we are just so far away from the radar site. The assumption, again, is that this tornado would be, again, right now approaching, if not just past to the south side of Bushnell, and it's going to be moving towards Marietta. That rotation, again, is the strongest over Highway 41, and it'll eventually go towards Marietta, Smithfield, and then Cuba, and possibly Lewistown, Illinois, down the road. So those will be the next areas in the track of this after that. And you can't see Lewistown, but it's the one that's kind of circled at the very bottom right there. Will this get weaker as it goes towards Decatur, Illinois? I do think overall the severe weather will be a lot less concerning once it gets into this realm. I think these storms are going to be predominantly outflow driven down here to the south, and then we could still get an isolated tornado risk in here, which is what we're seeing right now near Macomb. Elsewhere, I don't see us having a huge severe weather risk, at least in like southern Illinois, for example. I think the bulk of the severe weather is going to stay in this watch. We could see an extension of the watch, but I just don't see much happening down here near Decatur or south of that, other than just some gusty winds and maybe an isolated damaging wind threat. Well, I'm glad we went live, because I honestly, like, I was watching the weather earlier. It was mostly hail and wind. We went live at a pretty good time, because, you know, this is now producing a tornado. So, good thing we did go live. And again, this is still on the ground, so if you are near Bushnell or Marietta, you need to seek shelter. At least we think it's on the ground still. And again, it's moving right now east-southeast. If the tornado is still on the ground, which we think it is, it's going to be on the east side now of Highway 41, going towards Marietta, Smithfield, and Cuba. And eventually towards Lewistown, Illinois. Your timing is immaculate. I know, it's pretty crazy. It's crazy stuff. Will I go live tomorrow? I have no clue. I legitimately, we were not even going to go live today. We weren't going to go live at all on this vacation, but today was a bit more concerning than the other days, because obviously we have a large risk in general, and we also have an enhanced risk across this area for wind and hail. Then there's also a 5% tornado risk. So I'm not sure yet about tomorrow. I have no clue about tomorrow. By the way, I am on vacation. I've mentioned this several times. I have no reason to go anywhere else other than be here, because the weather outside sucks here in Orlando right now. There's a lot of lightning. It's raining a lot. So there's no reason for me to do anything. So that's why we're here. Just an FYI. And I'm glad we are here because, again, there is a tornado on the ground just south of Bushnell in Illinois. So just for those that might just be tuning in. Just letting you know ahead of time. Connor got great shots of the tornadoes in Minnesota yesterday. I saw them. Yeah, there were some crazy tornadoes there in Minnesota yesterday. And hopefully this isn't a crazy tornado. Hopefully it's just something brief. But right now, that rotation's still pretty strong on the south side of Bushnell, going towards Marietta, Smithfield, and Poverty Ridge here in western Illinois. Yeah, again, if you're in the pink polygons, get to your basement, storm shelter, closet, bathroom, whatever it might be. If you're in a mobile home, get to a sturdy structure. Otherwise, get into a ditch. There's a possibility that this could be a tornado that's on the stronger side of things. We really don't know. We are pretty far away from the radar sites in the general vicinity of this storm. But it is likely that we at least have a tornado on the ground still, just on the southeast side of Bushnell. This was observed as of about 6 minutes ago, I would say, or so, maybe 7. Let me just double check here. This was observed as of 6:57, so about 10 minutes ago it was observed. And then most recently, it was observed 7 minutes ago near Bushnell. So this is still on the ground, and that rotation's still pretty tight and confined. So it's likely that we still have a tornado on the ground here going towards Marietta, Smithfield, and Cuba. So if you are in these two pink polygons, you got to seek shelter. If this does continue to produce a tornado down the road, let's use this Radar Omega tracking tool. I'll kind of show you where this is going to be heading. It is going currently to the east-southeast at about 35 miles per hour or so. The timing is going to be here on the left side of your screen. A little bit small, but I'll give you a little bit of a call out on where this is going to be heading. So again, Marietta in about 10 minutes, which again, you should be in your safe place ahead of time. Don't wait until the last second. And again, these are all estimated times. Lewistown in about half an hour. We got Maples Mill in about 45 minutes. We got Havana in about 50 minutes. Goofy Ridge in about 50 minutes. We got Topeka in 55 minutes. And you also got the Parkland area in a little over an hour. So that would be your timing overall for this particular storm. By the way, Storm Area Media, you're good. I'm not. It's fine. By the way, Lincoln would be in the track of this in a little over an hour, possibly an hour and a half or so. Lincoln, Illinois. Yeah, I still think this is on the ground. At least on the last radar scan, it looked like it was on the ground. There's a chance it does occlude, but again, we don't have great radar coverage. So we are relying more on the storm reports in this area near Bushnell. But that right there on the last scan really still indicates that there's a tornado here. At least likely on the ground still. On this latest radar scan, the rotation does look broader, but I wouldn't be too fooled by the radar here because, again, we are just so far away from the radar site. This is more than likely, though, turning into a rain-wrapped tornado. So, you know, it's going to become a lot more difficult to know exactly what is happening from a storm chaser's perspective with how much rain is now falling around this circulation. This is all the rain that's falling around this right now. It kind of looks like almost like a donut. So that right there would be your tornado. If it's still on the ground, it'd be going towards Marietta, Smithfield, and Cuba. Either way, even if there's not one on the ground, you should still stay in your safe place. You know, the warning goes for 20 minutes. So just stay in the safe place that you are in for the next 20 minutes if you're in the pink polygon. Because damaging winds, hail, and also a lot of lightning will continue with this particular storm. The Radar Omega lightning detection is showing a ton of lightning right now near Bushnell and just west of London Mills. So almost undoubtable right now that we at least have a lot of lightning. And then obviously in addition to that, the wind and hail threat are definitely still there with this storm. And we still have more than likely a tornado on the ground, if not at least wind. So that's what we're looking at right now. Again, this will eventually go towards Lincoln in Illinois. Here's the latest scan. Let's match up the radar again. So this tornado now would be over on the west side of Marietta. If it is still on the ground, it'll be on the west side of Marietta in Illinois. Here's the latest scan, so you can see it here. On the northwest side of Marietta right now. That is where the strongest area of rotation does reside. If there's any other warnings that look concerning, give me 1 second here. We have 20 other severe thunderstorm warnings, so just for the record, there's a lot of severe weather aside from this storm. But right now, almost every storm is producing less than 2-inch sized hail. And there's not a single storm over 70 mile per hour winds, which is good news. So this, as of right now, is the most concerning storm. Here's the report, by the way. I don't know what this means. I'm guessing this is somebody's name. Tornado on the ground, 3.5 miles or so southwest of Bushnell, in Illinois. So that was the report that we had as of 8 minutes ago. So that was the tornado report on this particular storm. And again, that red circle that you see here, just southwest of Bushnell, that is where the report came from. That's likely where the tornado was as of 8 minutes ago. And now this is where it is if it is still on the ground. It'd be over Marietta right now. So this will be your area of circulation. And again, we are pretty far away from the radar site. So it's going to be hard to, again, see exactly how strong that rotation is. But it does appear at least as if there is at least some sort of, high likelihood that we still have a tornado on the ground here. But still pretty likely that we have something here. We have spotters. I have no clue. I'm not sure about this part of Illinois. I know we have a few storm chasers that I know of, but I don't think anybody's in this area. We have Brandon Kopic, who's on Radar Omega, but he's on the southern storm down here in Jacksonville, going towards Springfield. But that's mostly hail and wind. He's pulling into Loves. Look at that. Pulling into Loves. But, yeah, this storm, that's where he is. Other than that, I don't think we have any other sort of view locally. But there's always storm chasers out there. A lot of them don't go live, though, due to complications. Correlation coefficient, it's not going to do us much good from this distance either. We're too far away from the radar site on this particular storm. With that said, it could also just be some sort of brief little spin up. If you guys do see anything on the storm on Twitter, you can at me at MaxVelocityWX. I'll try to see if I can relay anything on this. But this is, if it is still on the ground, it is fully rain wrapped at this point. Visually on radar, that's the rotation as of 7:10. 712 is going to be the latest reflectivity scan, so that rotation is going to be pretty much over Marietta now. If we have a tornado, it's hitting Marietta, Illinois, and it'll eventually go towards Smithfield, Cuba, and eventually Lewistown, Liverpool, in the Dunfer-Malign area. Those areas will eventually be in the track of it, but hopefully this is just something brief. But with this sort of environment, if it can stay discreet like this, I think there's going to be at least a solid chance that this produces some sort of tornado risk for the next hour or two. I don't think this is going to last for like 8 hours, for example, but I do think there's a good shot that this will at least produce some sort of threat of a tornado, at least for the next couple of hours, probably all the way up until Lincoln, I would say. That's where the radar site is. I think that's where we'll be watching for that greatest threat with this storm. Quick update on the other storms, as that is still on the ground. We're going to go back over west of Springfield here. This storm here is mostly wind and hail. This tornado risk has completely fizzled. It was producing a tornado risk at one point. There was some rotation, but nothing, super out of the ordinary or anything like that. The other storms over here in northeastern parts of Missouri are mostly also hail and wind. I don't see this turning into much of a tornado risk. We could get an isolated tornado, but I think overall the risk is pretty low. The storms that are just south of Davenport, these are all mostly hail and wind as well. Could get an isolated spin up out of this activity too with anything that becomes discrete. But as of now, it's mostly just kind of discombobulated activity at this point when it comes to severe weather. And then also back over in Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, everything is remaining pretty tame right now. It's mostly just rain, lightning, a few stronger storms in western Indiana, but nothing too crazy. Back over in Kansas, we also have a lot of severe weather in this area, but it's mostly just hail and wind. Could get a brief spin up if anything stays, again, relatively discreet, but I don't think we're going to see a tornado risk here with the, with all these storms, basically all outflow driven. And what I mean by that is when we have an outflow boundary that's well out in front of the storms like this, it's usually going to be predominantly a wind threat with a lot of lightning. So that's usually what we're looking at in that sort of case. By the way, the tornado warning was just downgraded to radar indicated. So that one that is over in Fulton County, Illinois, that has just been downgraded back to radar indicated. They have gone ahead and let that other tornado warning northeast of Macomb expire, as the area of rotation has just moved outside of that area. So that right there, if there is a tornado on the ground, it'd be in that black circle near Marietta, but as of right now, this is lifted. It is back to radar indicated. At least we don't have any visual on this, so if there is a tornado, again, it's going to be fully rain-wrapped here, but the rotation on radar does appear broader. So let's hope that trend continues as this moves down to the east-southeast. 1 second, let me find this. There we go. All right. Updated the warning here. Again, radar indicated rotation as of right now, going towards Cuba, Dunfer-Malign, Lewistown, Liverpool, Banner, just to the southwest of Peoria, by the way. This storm's on track again for Lincoln, so that would be the main location right here near Interstate 55 and just south of Peoria. In terms of the main threat area would be Lincoln down the road, but obviously this storm might not be producing a tornado threat by then, but it'll at least be producing wind and hail probably by the time it gets there. But right now, this storm is on track to go down to the east-southeast towards Lincoln over the next several minutes. So again, if you're in the pink polygon, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible, and interior room of your home or building. By the way, huge shout out to William for the $50 super chat. You have a lot of Canadians that follow you. Yeah, I saw that. I'll try to do some weather updates if things don't look as bad here in the United States. I do appreciate your generosity. Yeah, I'll try to do more Canadian stuff down the road, because I know a lot of people, I know Canada in general is just getting more severe weather than it used to be. There are like 4 tornado warnings up there, so we'll take a quick glance here in a moment. Thank you, Theme Pro, for becoming a member. Thank you, Sam, for becoming a moderate velocity member. Welcome to the Velocities. Thank you also, Yankee. Thank you, Bree, for the $9.99. Vacation stream. I know it. It's a vacation stream. Thank you, Tiff, for the $4.99. That's awesome. Thank you, Arctic, for becoming a VIP Velocity member. Thank you, Chaz, for the 1-month member. All right, we'll go to Canada here real quick. Let me just check in on Canada. I don't usually cover Canada, but we'll take a quick glance at it. The storms looked pretty interesting earlier when we were looking at them on radar. So we'll take a quick little gander up here. We do have a line of storms that's going right now across, at least, I don't even know where we are here, but just to the east of Val d'Or. You guys are already trying to make me do United States pronunciations. Now we're going to be trying to do Canadian pronunciations, which is going to be exciting. There is an area of circulation here west of Clova that I was just looking at. Really rural areas here. So a little bit of something there. But other than that, I don't think there's much here, at least in Ottawa. A little bit north of Toronto. Just check this real quick. Mostly a QLCS tornado threat here. So again, if you're in these tornado warnings, just seek shelter. After the storms pass, you should be fine. But nothing that looks super concerning, at least as of right now over there. But again, I'll keep a close eye. If anything does become more concerning, we'll go back up there. Anything for St. Louis? I think St. Louis will be mostly a wind threat by the time the storms even get to you. Even then, I don't know if we're really going to see anything in St. Louis. Today's threat, again, is a very narrow area. The threat of severe weather. Let me just show you the day one outlook here. This is the area that we're talking about in terms of severe weather. It's a very narrow area, and you might be thinking it's a really large area. Well, it is. It's a big fish, literally. We got a massive fish. It's a goldfish risk today for severe weather. But all the storms basically began in this area and are moving south or east, depending on where you are. And so the majority of this severe weather will continue to move towards Springfield and St. Louis, but I think the storms are going to fall apart by the time they get towards St. Louis. There could still be some damaging winds if anything does stay severe, but I think the risk of that still is on the lower side of things. At least the confidence of there being severe weather is lower, in my opinion. Still have some rotation here near Smithfield, Illinois. So this storm is, again, not done by any means. I know we haven't talked about it much in the last few minutes, but it's definitely not done when it comes to a tornado risk. So again, moving down to the east-southeast, going towards Lewistown and Liverpool. And if you're in the pink polygon, continue to stay in your safe place. Low tornado risks should have good CAPE values. I mean, you can have high CAPE values and still have no tornado risk. It has a lot more to do with shear. I mean, you need spin, and you also need wind shear. If you don't have that sort of stuff, the tornado risk won't really matter, even if you have a ton of instability. The instability is not really what's going to drive, a tornado risk in general. It's going to have to do more with overall just the amount of wind that we have in the atmosphere, how strong it is. There's a lot of veering. We have a lot of spin, ascent. There's a lot of different ingredients that goes into that, but it doesn't have a whole lot to do with instability. Goofy Ridge is in the path of this storm, yes. Didn't know there was a Goofy Ridge here in the United States. Very interesting name. Axe is live. I know, I am live. Again, I am on vacation, but there's nothing, as I mentioned a few times, there's currently nothing that I'm missing, because it's completely raining outside here in Disney World, and it's also frequent lightning. I keep seeing lightning out my window. Whenever I look that way, there's lightning. So we are live here, at least until things become a little bit less concerning. But by the way, we'll be back in the weather studio tomorrow. So for those that are wondering, I don't know when, but we'll be back in the weather studio tomorrow. So live streams and videos will return to normal by Saturday. So just an FYI, everything's gonna be normal again on Saturday. Possibly as early as tomorrow, but by Saturday things will be normal again. I know it's been kind of weird. We haven't really been in our studio for like 2 weeks now, and so the videos and all that, the microphone quality, not the same as it usually is. But we will be back very soon. With all that said, we still have a tornado warning here in Illinois. Again, just to the northwest of Smithfield. Rotation still is on the stronger side of things. So continue to stay in your safe place if you are in this warning. Away from windows, lowest floor possible. By the way, I'm planning on having a members-only stream probably tomorrow or Saturday, kind of just talking about my vacation and stuff like that. So for those that might be interested in that, just an FYI. I have a lot to talk about. Or if the weather becomes a little bit quieter, I might talk about some of that stuff. How's it going, Step? Overall, this was on the ground before. No longer on the ground. I forgot to change the title. But overall, it's still rotating. The rotation's not as strong as before. With all that said, it could still produce another tornado as it does continue to move down to the east, southeast, and southeast over the next several minutes. So if you are in this pink polygon, just continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. But as of now, it is not on the ground, at least from what we know. It could be on the ground, though, at any time. And again, it's rain-wrapped rotation. So there's a pretty good chance that if it's not on the ground right now, it could drop at some point down the road, or it could even be on the ground now. It's just the problem is the visual of this storm is much more difficult, because this is the rain that's all around this storm. And then the area of circulation that we have, northwest of Smithfield, is completely embedded in rain. So we don't have any sort of good view right now of this storm for any weather spotters in the area. If we go back literally like 25 minutes ago, let me just go back a little bit here, you'll see how this storm was way more discreet. We go to the other radar site here. You'll see it better on this radar site. If we go back a little ways, you can see how much more discreet the supercell was. We had a very clean hook echo and everything. We even had an inflow notch. So this tornado threat really ramped up there. And now it's kind of broadened out again. It's mostly just rain, lightning, and then wind. The overall tornado risk has kind of fallen apart with this storm, at least for now. When it comes to at least something being organized, it's a bit more disorganized. The rotations become much more rain-wrapped. I really do think if we do have a tornado, it would probably be on the weaker and briefer side of things, being embedded in this rain. And there could be some level of hail contamination here with that rotation. We've had some of that here today, but there's definitely still enough circulation, I think, to the point where this tornado warning will probably continue up until 7:30. And then I think after that, unless the rotation strengthens again, I think this will just be let to be a normal severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. That's at least what I'm thinking right now. But again, subject to change as this does continue to move down to the east-southeast over the next several minutes. Here real quick. If you guys do see anything, by the way, again on that tornado that happened near Bushnell, just let me know. At me on Twitter if you see anything on that. I haven't seen anything quite yet, but there are a lot of trees that have been uprooted in the Bushnell area from what I'm seeing. This is from the Bushnell traffic cam. So it's hard to tell really or at least in the general vicinity, it's hard to tell. Like back in here, that is where the dividing line between obviously dry air and the rain is, but I don't see anything definitive in here for a tornado. It's more than likely this tornado, when it did happen, it might not have been rain wrapped, but it might have just been on like the other side of the storm. So that is a live shot that we had a little while ago from a live cam in the area. But again, nothing really stands out to me there, as if there was some sort of clear, definitive tornado there, at least on that camera. Or what I'm seeing there. Let me go back over to here. This. Okay. Actually, you made me want to learn weather. That's awesome. Thank you, Austin, for the $4.99. I have. It is really good. Yes, it is amazing. I've had it before. The gray stuff is definitely delicious. All right, we'll have another velocity scan here in a second. As a reminder, this tornado warning, again, does expire in 4 minutes. Where's the live video coming from? We are live here from Animal Kingdom Lodge in Disney World. Not even kidding. The internet actually has not been bad. I thought it would be worse. The internet has held up so far. Because we're not on Ethernet or anything like that. Rotation's broadened out a bit more on this latest scan, so a little bit of broader circulation again over Smithfield, Illinois. I would continue to stay in your safe place again if you're in this warning. Away from windows, lowest floor possible. I am at Kidani Village. That is correct. Why am I streaming? I mentioned this a few times, but again, the weather is really bad here in Orlando right now. It's just raining. And it is lightning. So there was no reason to go anywhere tonight. So it's not a big deal. Again, I don't mind. I was just kind of chilling in the room anyways, and then I saw the weather looked interesting, so we went live. We're here. What happened to the thunderstorm watch? I don't know where you exactly are, but there are still lots of severe thunderstorm watches out there. Depending on where you are, it may have been canceled or expired at this point. More than likely, it's just been canceled. The Chicago area is done. Michigan, northern Indiana, pretty much done at this point with severe weather. Even if you didn't see anything, you're pretty much done because there wasn't really anything that actually, developed there. It was a bit more of a conditional risk over here, more than anything. This risk was obviously not as conditional. This was definitely expected to happen. Tornado risk has been a little bit lower than forecasted. But it wasn't expected to be high today, to be honest. I mean, there was a 5% tornado risk, which it basically shows you where the greatest confidence for a tornado threat is. And honestly, most of these storms were supposed to be hail and wind producers, at least from what I looked at last night and even this morning. The data really leaned towards this being more of a wind and hail threat, and maybe an isolated tornado or two with anything that can stay discreet. And this storm stayed discreet. We could still see another tornado or two, by the way. We still have a 5% tornado risk here from Iowa and northeastern Missouri back into western Illinois. Still a 2% outside of that, which means that there's still at least a low-end threat for an isolated tornado. This one here, just south of Galesburg, looks interesting, but I'm not seeing any rotation from the radar site near Lincoln. Let's see the other radar site here. Yeah, this other radar site also not showing any rotation. There is a little bit of a hook on that, but it's not really organized by any means. The one over just to the northwest of Lewiston looks a little bit more, it did at least look a little bit more concerning, but I think this tornado warning will be let to expire at this point. Caleb, I'm going to be honest with you, I do think any sort of cloud there in Peoria is going to be a shelf cloud and not a wall cloud. At least from what we're seeing on radar here. Thank you, Brad, for the $9.99. Appreciate your generosity. Any other notable storms? Not really. I mean, there's a lot of severe storms out there. We currently have, 14 severe thunderstorm warnings. We have 1 tornado warning. Honestly, a lot of the storms out there are mostly wind and hail, and nothing substantial right now, aside from this tornado warning, which is about to expire anyways. Most of the storms that we have is up to golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. We don't have much aside from that. We have a couple storms up to, again, golf ball sized hail and maybe an isolated storm up to 70-mile-per-hour winds. It isn't a whole lot. The most concerning storm is actually going to be over here near Manhattan. This storm over here near Manhattan, Kansas just got upgraded to tennis ball sized hail. So this has actually become a little bit more concerning. But the bulk of the hail has already fallen in Manhattan. So this hail core is going towards Louisville and Wamego, right along Highway 24 here, just to the east of Manhattan. So this storm in particular, as it moves east, it'll continue to produce up to tennis ball-sized hail. That's actually the most significant hailstorm that we have right now, or most significant storm in general right now, here in the United States. Thank you, Dev, for the $10 super chat. I don't think so. I think if you get any severe weather in Terre Haute, it'll be mostly a wind threat. Overall. No problem, Dylan. Appreciate you tuning in. Chad, I have not paid attention at all to weather over the last week. I've paid attention, like, minimally. Like, I've looked at the risk every day, but, like, yeah, I've really minimally paid attention to weather, and even on Twitter, I've barely been on Twitter. The only time I'm on Twitter this week has been when I'm posting stuff of my trip. So other than today, I was on it a little bit more today. But the weather's also been much less favorable for going places today at Disney World, so. Bushnell, I think the southwest side got hit. I don't think Bushnell, at least in the downtown area of Illinois, got directly hit. This is where the report was of the tornadoes, on the southwest side of Bushnell. Here is what Bushnell, Illinois looks like for roads and stuff. You can see that on the Radar Omega imagery here. That right there is all the roadways. So just to the northeast of this red circle, that is where the bulk of people live here in Bushnell, Illinois. I think this tornado stayed just to the southwest of town. Went through Scottsburg and went eventually towards Highway 41. But it looks like mostly rural areas, mostly farmlands. Bushnell. Looks like Bushnell to me. But yeah, that's at least from the looks of it, it looks like it was on the southwest side of town. There's actually live cams there in Bushnell. But I do my cameos while I was away. I have done most of my cameos. I have like 5 more for Father's Day. So I'm not like fully done yet, but I still have a few more to go. I have done a lot of the, I only was able to, I only missed 1 cameo. I think we've had at least like 15 now. But I only missed 1. So we're not doing too shabby when it comes to cameos. By the way, if you're in this pink polygon in Canada, near Manawan or Wemotaki, definitely make sure you're in your safe place. This looks like mostly a QLCS tornado risk. Line of storms producing some embedded tornadoes. So, alright, we have a new tornado warning now in Missouri.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Alright, so north of Moberly, this is a new tornado warning north of Moberly near New Cambria. And wow, that rotation's pretty strong, but we are pretty far away from the radar site. Strong area of circulation right now near New Cambria, just to the west of Macon. So if you are in this pink polygon, you need to seek shelter away from windows, the lowest floor possible, and in an interior room of your home or building. If you are currently in New Cambria, Missouri. Again, this storm right now is moving south. This is kind of a cluster of storms that we're looking at here. But again, this is your brand new tornado warning in Missouri. This is going to be for Randolph, Macon, and Chariton counties in Missouri. So, again, strong area of circulation. We are quite far away from the radar site, so it might be a little bit extruded here, but definitely at least at the bare minimum, we at least have some strong upper level circulation, which means near the ground we could at least have something lowering, maybe like a wall cloud or something like that, as this does continue to move down to the southeast. Or south, not southeast. This storm is moving south and southeast at about 30 miles per hour. So that's the speed of the storm right now. New Cambria is the main location. After this, it'll go towards the west side of Jacksonville. Salisbury, Moberly, and Higbee would be the long-term tracks of this. What is a cameo? It's just a personalized video platform. So we do them now, apparently. Thank you, Michigan, for becoming a member. Sky is turning green in Morton, Illinois. Always an eerie sight. I've personally never seen the sky turn green, personally. But it is definitely... I've seen photos. It definitely looks scary. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. I have another velocity scan here in just a second. Again, strong rotation. That's a little bit off the ground. This is not at the surface, but strong rotation. This definitely could produce a tornado at any time as it moves down to the south. Again, this is a radar hole, which makes this very difficult to see in terms of the velocities near the ground. But what we're seeing right now in radar is really strong rotation. I mean, this looks like there could be a tornado on the ground legitimately at any time. That rotation's really strong right now over New Cambria, Missouri. This radar site doesn't reach, unfortunately, and I don't think it's online. Look, this is the radar site that we're looking at. Let me kind of look around a little bit here. Try to see if we have any other view. This is the closest one, but yeah. Unfortunately, the radar sites are just not great in this area. I really wish we had a radar site in northern Missouri. It'd make a lot of this stuff easier to verify, but again, we have strong rotation. There is a possibility that we have a tornado on the ground near New Cambria, moving towards Highway 3. So again, if you are in the pink polygon, you definitely got to get to your safe place here in New Cambria, Missouri. Again, eventually going towards Highway 3. Let me check and see what the other towns might be here. Yeah, that rotation's really strong. Again, it's off the ground, right? This is not at the surface. It's a bit off the ground, but this is definitely strong rotation right now. Let me see. I'm trying to see what other towns might be in the track of this. There's no tornado warning in Illinois. This is the only one that we have right now. So again, New Cambria is the only location. Again, very strong rotation over Highway 36, moving down to the south-southeast. So get to your safe place if you're in this warning, get away from windows, and get on the lowest floor possible. We could, again, have a tornado on the ground at any time with this storm. I want to see if we have any live cams in this area. 1 second. At this point, the only way we're going to be able to verify anything here would be by visual, because radar is just so far away here. Just going to see if we have any sort of view of this. This rotation, again, is really strong. This is not weak at all. This is very strong circulation right now for New Cambria in Missouri. Let me see what the radar looks like here. I mean, the rotation is matched up directly with where there would be a tornado. There are live cams in New Cambria, but I believe all of them are down right now. I'll double check, but I think all of them are down right now, which could already have been down before this. They also could be down from wind or whatever it might be here in New Cambria. It looks like, at least for right now, all those cameras are down. But yeah, this isn't good. I mean, again, this could be a tornado that's on the ground, and it could be on the stronger side of things. We just don't really know because, again, we are just so far away from the radar site. This is looking well off the ground. It's not like looking at the surface. We are looking probably over 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere with how far away we are from the radar site. What we can basically tell you, though, is that there is very strong circulation, and there is a pretty solid chance that we have a tornado on the ground right now, moving south-southeast. Pretty, again, rural areas here, just south of New Cambria. But again, just west of Jacksonville, east of the Marceline area, eventually going towards the east side of Muscle Fork, and Clifton Hill, Huntsville, Salisbury, Missouri would all be on the track of this after that. But hopefully we can get, if there's a tornado, hopefully there's some sort of visual of this, so, you know, we have something to go off of. Right now it's just radar indicated, so again, it's nothing confirmed at this point. But that rotation's definitely really strong. Even for it being really far away from the radar site, that rotation's not weak. I have a feeling that we have a tornado on the ground here. It's just, again, we don't really know. It would be on the southwest side of New Cambria if there is one on the ground here. I'm here, by the way. I'm muted, I know. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, we have a tornado warning near New Cambria and Missouri. Again, near Lingo, Kern, and Callao. Again, moving down to the south. If you're in the pink polygon, seek shelter. Rotation, again, is on the stronger side of things. Moving down to the south right now. Eventually going towards the west side of Jacksonville. And again, I knew I was muted. I was intentionally muted there. So again, moving down to the south right now. That is your area of circulation. Again, nothing confirmed as of right now. It is still radar indicated rotation. But there is a strong likelihood that we have at least some sort of lowering or even possibly a tornado right now heading towards Highway 129 near Highway 3, just to the west of Jacksonville. So if you're in the pink polygon, and it's a little over 1,000 people in this warning, make sure that you're getting to your safe place, as that rotation is still on the stronger side of things, moving down to the south. And again, this is our only tornado warning right now in the entire United States. So we have one up in Canada. This is the one here in the United States, again near Missouri, or in Missouri, just around and south now of New Cambria is where the strongest area of circulation currently resides. And again, this storm is moving south at about 30 miles per hour. Again, nothing officially confirmed at this point, even though I do think there is a strong chance that we have something on the ground here. If not, it's not far from it. I do think it will at least have some sort of lowering. Rotation east of it, too. Let me go back over here. Not really seeing a whole lot of rotation, at least near Shelbyville. It looks mostly like a wind threat to me. I really think the greatest concern is probably going to be this storm here. We at least have a bit of a hook in. We have a little inflow, but it's not really super clear on radar since we're just so far away. This is the latest scan. And we do have a bit more of a clear shot there of that, at least some level of an inflow. The rotation is definitely, again, just south of New Cambria now. It's on track for Highway 3, Highway 129, again, just west of Jacksonville, west of Macon. Moving directly to the south right now, going towards Salisbury and Huntsville. Yeah, that Canada tornado warning, a lot of their warnings in Canada are usually going to be on the larger side of things. Okay, my mic just glitched out. But a lot of the warnings there in Canada are usually larger, but that one in particular is large because of, one, it's just a radar hole in Canada, and then two, it's also a lot of different embedded circulations in that line that we don't have there's no clear view on that particular storm, so. But again, strong area of circulation just to the south of New Cambria, eventually going towards Highway 3 and 129. Again, if we see anything, we'll let you know. Again, nothing confirmed as of right now. It is still radar-indicated rotation moving south. The last few radar scans have been weakening this rotation a little bit. It was really strong, really about 5 or 10 minutes ago, just southwest of New Cambria. Velocities have weakened a little bit on this storm, but there is definitely still rotation, so do not just get out of your safe place. I'm just telling you, rotation's not nearly as strong as what we had a few minutes ago. But definitely still have a chance that there is some sort of tornado on the ground, or there could be one at any time as this moves down to the south. Long term, this would be eventually going towards Fayette, and as well as Columbia, New Franklin, Boonville, here in Missouri. But again, that's long-term tracks of this, and this storm is moving south at 30 miles per hour, so it's going to take a little bit to get there. Let me just track this out here for you real quick. Go all the way up to Columbia. So Columbia right now is in the track of this in a little over an hour and a half. So you would probably, if you get hit by this storm, it'd be probably closer to 9:30. Just for reference, if you're back over near Interstate 70, near Columbia, here in Missouri, on this particular supercellular area. Again, it's more of a cluster at this point, but that circulation was definitely strong. And we might even have a little bit of rotation developing near Brookfield. So something to keep a close eye on. New little circulation there. We have a couple of circulations. The one that's back over just south of Route 36 looks a little bit weaker. The one over northeast of Brookfield looks a bit stronger right now. I got Raising Cane's for dinner, and this soda does not taste like Diet Coke. I have no clue what it tastes like. Yeah, we might get a new tornado warning near Brookfield. We'll see. Let's go back on the reflectivity here. Yeah, that rotation right now northeast of Brookfield is I mean, there's rotation for sure. But it doesn't look super organized yet, but I do think that's another area to watch for there. Again, this entire area of storms is warned for up to golf ball sized hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds. There is a large tornado possible label on this area as well. Again, we have circulation here. We got some circulation near Brookfield. It's kind of all along Route 36 right now. This entire area at least has some level of rotation. But definitely predominantly right now a wind threat. And hail. St. Louis gonna get hit tonight? You might, but again, I think the main concern over there will be wind if you do get hit. And that'll probably happen sometime after, like, 9 o'clock tonight. It's gonna be a little while until you even get hit by anything. Should I be worried about this storm in western Ohio? I have no concern right now for Ohio or even Indiana. I think the majority of those storms are already winding down. We will have a new Storm Prediction Center update here in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So we'll see what the latest update is there, but I think those areas will be removed from the risk. And here's the latest scan, by the way. So again, the rotation's really broadened on this storm. That is, again, just south of New Cambria. We have a new circulation developing north of the Marceline area. That's rain wrap, so there's at least some rotation developing there. But that other storm that is currently west of Macon, the rotation is broader. There could still be a tornado with this. Visually, though, on radar, there isn't really much happening here. I think the next storm to watch for would probably be this one back over just northeast of Brookfield. Thank you, Robert, for becoming a member. Welcome to the Velocities. Here's the latest scan. So again, main area of rotation just east of Brookfield at this point. Not tornado warned, but that is a new area that we're watching. Doesn't look imminent, but there's at least rotation. The storm near Route 36, that one, again, mostly a wind threat. Not seeing anything too crazy when it comes to rotation right now, but there's at least a wind threat as this moves down to the south. Just continue to stay in your shelter spot, safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you're in the warning. I do want to give you a heads up, by the way, we are down to 7 severe thunderstorm warnings. We began this live stream at 24 severe thunderstorm warnings, so we've definitely dropped a ton when it comes to warnings. Hopefully that trend continues, but right now we are definitely dropping off quite a bit when it comes to warnings. But that doesn't mean the severe weather's done, just giving you an idea. The warning count is definitely lower than before. Let's hope it stays that way. We'll have another radar scan here in a moment. Zoom out just a little bit here. Stay a little bit zoomed out. I check Amarillo. I will take a quick look at Texas. There are going to be some storms down there in Texas. Let me quickly just jump down there. There is a severe thunderstorm watch for the Texas Panhandle. We do have a storm chaser out there. We might pull them up, we'll see. There are some storms right now near the Fritch area and Boger, but these are mostly just wind threats at this point. And even then, there's no warning on that activity. So they're just outflow-driven wind. The storms that are back over in Kansas, by the way, pretty much the same thing. It's mostly a damaging wind and isolated hail threat. We could get an isolated spin-up out of this, but I don't expect a tornado. Maybe a land spout, but even then, I don't think we'll see that. Really not that great of an environment for a tornado or even a land spout. Storms near Manhattan City are actually upwards of baseball-sized hail now. So the storm that is near Wamego, north and east of Manhattan, north of Newberry, and north of Interstate 70. This storm is producing up to baseball-sized hail now. So this is actually a destructive storm that's approaching Louisville, Bellevue, and as well as Emmett and St. Mary's. So this is a significant storm on its own right now in Kansas, producing baseball-sized hail. Again, that is currently moving eastbound. There is actually maybe some rotation here, too. Let me just look at this real quick. Velocities are showing a little bit, probably more of a wind threat here, kind of embedded in this storm. The reds and greens are close together, but I think that's more of a wind threat. I'm seeing this wind. It doesn't look like it's really rotating. Looks more just like a straight line wind threat right now going towards Bellevue. and as well St. Mary's in Kansas. So that storm in particular, it's not tornado warned or anything like that. It's mostly a baseball-sized hail threat. But I'm not seeing any imminent tornado threat there as of right now. But as of now, this rotation again looks broader. We have a new circulation going towards the Marceline area. So that would be the next area, in my opinion, to watch for here. Just off to the north of Marceline. It's approaching Marceline right now. Again, this is going north to south. So again, if you're in the pink, or if you're anywhere in this yellow polygon at this point here in Missouri, I would at least stay away from windows at the bare minimum, as the storm does continue to push down to the south. Also, this warning just got updated. It is still radar indicated. It's going to be condensed a little bit here. Again, this is going to be for Chariton, Macon, and Randolph counties in Missouri. So we'll see that update here in just a moment. It is still ongoing. It is radar indicated. They have not canceled it at this point. Also, the Storm Prediction Center just put this out. Expected mesoscale convective system movement will continue down to the south and southeast here over the next little while. So this is expected to kind of form more into a cluster. Eventually, this should probably weaken as it goes towards St. Louis. But again, damaging wind still a possibility. They might extend this watch towards St. Louis if this storm activity does remain organized as it moves down to the south. But as of right now, that does remain a little bit more on the uncertain side of things. It's going to depend on the trends here over the next hour or two at this point. We also have another mesoscale discussion for those in Kansas. This goes from Manhattan back into Dodge City. Again, the main concern in this area will be wind and hail. They have outlined two areas for the greatest concern for each of these threats. So the greatest wind threat will be from Dodge City to Pratt to Kingman in southern Kansas. And then the hail threat is going to be the greatest near Salina, McPherson, and as well as Manhattan, which is where the greatest hailstorm is right now, is in Manhattan, which is where we currently have upwards of baseball-sized hail. So up that direction is where the greatest concern currently is. That's the latest updates that we have there. And if you guys do see any reports, photos, videos on Twitter, you can at me, at MaxVelocityWX. Link to all of our socials is in the description below. All right. I'm telling you guys, unrelated to weather, Raising Cane's is the best sauce ever. Just throwing it out there. Is Macon okay? Mostly a wind threat right now. Sorry, I just dropped my mouse, so I went zooming. Mostly a wind threat right now, though, for those in Macon. And even then, the bulk of the severe weather's already passed you. Hey, by the way, Karen, for gifting a member. Appreciate that. I just got Raising Cane's. Probably for post-live stream, but I have it here. So good. Cow, it kind of depends on preference. I mean, I have all the features on Radar Omega. But it really depends on your preference. I personally would go with, the highest tiered option if you're really into weather. But really, overall, you can kind of go with even the alpha. You could go with gamma. I would go with one of the other, though. They have the best. I think alpha really is a pretty solid deal, though. Gamma is definitely good as well in its own regard. Rotation near Pridsville, Illinois. Let me check Illinois real quick. We'll see if there's any sort of circulations. Got Brandon Kopic over here. He's on the highway. He's back over near Springfield. Let's take a quick look at him. He's on Radar Omega and on YouTube. You can watch him there. You can watch him inside the app. Again, you can get Radar Omega with the top link in the description below. Here's the shelf cloud that's remaining. It's a really minimal shelf cloud going towards Springfield in Illinois. Again, that shelf cloud does not look super impressive, but this is where the storm activity is, with mostly a wind threat right now. We go back over towards Springfield. You'll see that right here. It's not even a severe storm, but there is currently at least a wind threat coming out of this going west to east. And then the one near Bloomington's probably going to be the same way. I don't see any rotation here. I think this is also mostly a wind threat. Let's go back over to the Davenport radar site. Let's kind of look inside of all this rain. There could be some broad circulations embedded in this rain. But I think this is mostly a wind threat. And even then, I think it's a lot of lightning and small hail. I'm not seeing anything in here that looks imminent for a tornado. I think a lot of the activity there in central Illinois will be mostly wind from here. Could get a brief spin up, but I think the tornado risk is low. And again, the storms that are back over here in Missouri probably going to be the most concerning for the next several hours as these move down to the south. And this tornado warning, by the way, will be expiring in 4 minutes. Is there a CC drop on this storm? I'm not seeing one. Even then, I mean, we wouldn't have a CC drop probably this far away unless it was a very powerful tornado, because we are, again, looking so far away from the radar site here. So it's highly unlikely we would even see anything from this far away. But yeah, if you're in the pink polygon, continue to stay in your safe place for the next 5 minutes. Rotation on radar, again, is not that strong, but we don't have a great visual of this on radar. So we could have a tornado with this pretty much at any time as it moves down to the south. This tornado warning does expire in 3 minutes. They've added a new warning for the Bevier and Macon areas. That's going to be for 70-mile-per-hour winds and 2-inch sized hail. This area of storms is kind of it's really just slow moving. It's not going super fast. I mean, it's going south at 30 miles per hour. It's training a little bit, though, which is leading to at least some sort of possibly a short-term flash flooding threat, but also it's going to lead to a few more storms developing just to the north and northwest of the initial line here. So there is a new warning come on the north side of this activity for the threat still of some hail and wind. And maybe even an isolated tornado again. We still have some rotation. The strongest area of rotation that I'm seeing at this point would be with this storm to the northeast of Marceline. Even then, it doesn't look super concerning. I really still think probably this area would be a more concerning area because that circulation is not where the little hook is on reflectivity. But again, we have really poor radar coverage. And so if you're anywhere in this, yellow polygon from Brookfield back just to the south of Macon, I would continue to stay in your safe place, even if you're not in a tornado warning, because this area in particular is at least at risk for hail and wind. Could see an isolated tornado anywhere in this area too. So yeah, next week it looks like we're gonna have a big heat wave. We'll have a video on that probably on Saturday, but next week looks like a big heat wave, and a very active stretch of severe weather will probably continue in the Midwest and the Central and Northern Plains. So it's gonna stay active. I am Carlo. What's the weather like at Disney? It's pretty horrendous right now. It's actually, I don't think it's as bad now, but it was absolutely pouring earlier, and there was also a lot of lightning. It's been pretty good all week. I think Tuesday was pretty rainy. Yesterday wasn't bad at all. Today kind of got a little bit worse tonight, which is why I'm live. Literally had nothing to do, so I went live. And then other than that, it's been pretty nice. Been really hot, but it's been manageable. The one day that wasn't manageable, I think, was Monday. It was either Monday or Tuesday, one of those 2 days. It was just so humid. And after it rained a ton, the humidity just kind of stuck there, and the temperature did not increase, so we didn't have a great, at least break from the humidity and all that. It stayed really humid and
tornado
kind
warning
of
has been
muggy
issued.
and disgusting. We do have a new tornado warning for Chariton, Randolph, Lynn, and Macon counties in Missouri. Pretty much going to be the same area. You'll see the polygon pop up here in a second. So it's going to be on the storm that's going to be back over near Buckland and Marceline. So this is the area of circulation that is now warned. So if you're in this pink polygon, seek shelter, get away from windows, get on the lowest floor possible, get into an interior room of your home or building. You're Marceline in Missouri. Looked at your photos. Yeah, I'll talk more about my trip probably in a members only stream at some point in the next few days. We have a whole mail opening that we're gonna have to do anyways, so we'll talk more about that then. Marceline is the home of Walt Disney. Is that actually true? That would be crazy if that's actually true. And we are live right now for this. This is the latest scan. Rotation again, still on the stronger side of things, at least aloft. So still a chance that we have a tornado on the ground as this moves down to the south and south-southeast. Looks like we have more visual on this, at least in the area. More storm chasers in the area near Marceline. And area of rotation right now just south of Buckland. Eventually going towards Muscle Fork, Highway 129, and Highway 3. So if you are in the pink polygon, again, seek shelter. Away from windows, lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. It's true? That's actually crazy that's true. And I'm literally in Walt Disney World right now. That's insane. It looks mostly like a wind threat here. Not seeing, I mean, there is definitely probably some circulation in here. But this red on the outskirts looks more like just wind, maybe an inflow or something like that. So there's something here. Last few scans kind of show you that too. This has been kind of a developing area of circulation. It's not tight on radar, but there's definitely rotation developing here. A lot of storms developing back over here to the northwest of Marceline too. Again, these will kind of train. They'll continue to produce wind and hail. That's the main concerns. But just a heads up if you're in the Brookfield or Marceline area. Wow. This right here, I mean, that rotation just spiked on the latest scan. That intensified quite a bit there on the east side of Marceline, Missouri. So yeah, if you're in the pink polygon, definitely seek shelter. Rotation's definitely on the stronger side now, moving down to the southeast. Here's the latest scan. Yeah, rotation's really strong. Again, we could have a tornado on the ground at any time. On the east side of Marceline. So again, if you're in Marceline, Missouri, you gotta be in your safe place. Rotation is definitely stronger now. Moving down to the southeast, going towards Wien, Langonda, Hewer, and Westville. Really strong area of rotation now. Reflectivity is not yet updated, but that rotation's very strong. Very strong rotation. Let me see if I can get any verification here if this is on the ground or not. Vince said it's on the ground. I can't even check Vince because he's not live on YouTube. I was gonna check. See if he could see it. I can't check because it's on Radar Omega. Because Vince is literally right on this. How do I do this again? Is it control? There we go. Alright, let me check for my other monitor here. I'm gonna see if I can see anything on this end. So again, that rotation's really strong. And there's a strong likelihood that we have a tornado on the ground right now. The rotation's just sitting right now over the east side of Marceline. And near Hewer and Wien in Missouri. Just south of Route 36. I can't see anything on there. And that rotation's very strong. We could have a tornado on the ground, and again, it could be on the stronger side of things. So if you are in the Marceline area, near Westville, Hewer, or Ween, near Langonda, you need to be in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, and in an interior room of your home or building. This is, again, a very strong area of rotation moving down to the south and southeast right now in Missouri. I know we're really far away from the radar site. The radar is obviously showing something that's well off the ground, but this kind of rotation at least usually indicates some level of strong circulation aloft, which can a lot of the time be a lowering, like a wall cloud or a funnel cloud or something along those lines. So, this is moving down to the southeast right now. SVC updated. Let me check it out real quick. Yeah, there's still an enhanced risk on the latest outlook. This is the latest outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. I'm sure you guys can see this here. Alright, so this is the latest outlook. Still got a small enhanced risk with a little small 5% tornado risk from about Hannibal, Missouri, back over just east of Kansas City. So a small area there. That's where we're looking basically right now. The wind and hail threat continue to stay hatched, which means significant damaging winds will continue to be a potential out of these storms. So that is the latest there. Let me pull this all back up here. Again, this is your tornado warning. Still a relatively strong area of circulation. Again, just off to the southeast or east-southeast of the Marceline area, Marceline, in Missouri. Going towards Muscle Fork. Clifton, Hill, and Salisbury will eventually be in the track of this, but with how things have trended thus far, this could turn into more of a wind threat in here. We could see a tornado risk evolve back up near like Meadville down the road with how things have gone so far. So just something to think about. Even then, if you're in Huntsville, Moberly, Salisbury, just be ready for an isolated tornado risk. More of a wind and hail threat, though, I think, as these storms go down that direction. St. Louis does not have to be worried about tornadoes now. I think it'll be fine. I think it's going to be mostly wind down there. I will stay zoomed out until the next scan. They haven't just updated the warning. It is still radar indicated. There you go. So, warning's just been updated. It now only includes Chariton, Randolph, and Lynn counties in Missouri. And that rotation's still relatively strong on the latest scan. So this is the strongest couplet now. And that couplet's actually still really strong, tight, and confined. Could have a tornado on the ground, but again, we're looking well off the ground, just southeast of Marceline. Going towards Highway 129 and Muscle Fork will be the next in track of this. So again, if you're in the pink polygon, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible. That rotation is still strong, moving out of the southeast. Anybody know if Vince is seeing anything, by the way? Or if anybody's able to see his feed. I cannot see his feed. It's just a black screen. I think he's only live on the Radar Omega app. He's not on YouTube. I don't know if he's seen anything. But as of right now, it is still radar indicated rotation. Latest scan showing it slightly broader. Again, we've had strong rotation on this for a while, but we are looking up into the atmosphere, so at least some sort of lowering, probably. He said it was on the ground 5 minutes ago, but not anymore. Keeps buffering. Probably a low signal area, is my guess here in Missouri. We're kind of in the middle of Missouri here. And there isn't a whole lot of roadways as this goes down to the southeast. A lot of farmland, I think. Thank you, by the way, Joanne, for becoming a moderate velocity member. Real quickly, what is Storm Intermediate looking at? I don't know where they are. I'm not sure if they're going towards this storm, but they're looking at a big storm out in the distance. Oh, they're in Kansas City. Oh, okay, they're going west, I think. Yeah, okay, they're repositioning. Never mind. They're going back over into Kansas. I gotcha. All right. I thought they were going towards the storm activity. I'm guessing they're probably setting up for tomorrow and probably intercepting those storms that are happening near Manhattan right now. So we might be able to see those. They were actually just looking at that a moment ago. Lost power is at southeast of Marceline. The main area of circulation will be right here south of Marceline. You might have lost power, though, from the wind. So just keep that in mind. It might not have been from a tornado. It's uncertain at this point whether we've had a tornado or not. We had at least some sort of brief touchdown, reportedly, by a storm chaser in the area, but nothing that's been on the ground for any more than probably 30 seconds at this point, at least from what I know. But we don't really know. There could be one on the ground at any time, but I think it's mostly a wind threat right now. Still some rotation. Quick update on Kansas. We do have the storm near St. Mary's. This storm in particular has been going for a while. This one did produce upwards of baseball-sized hail near Manhattan. It is starting to weaken out a little bit as daylight heating comes more to an end. So mostly just a wind and hail threat still, but the hail threat is still up to 2 inches in diameter, not nearly as significant as before. And then the storms near Wichita are mostly wind. So not much hail with these. If you're in Wichita, I'd definitely be prepared for a wind threat. Maybe some isolated sporadic hail. The severe thunderstorm watch does go again all the way into Oklahoma. And this watch goes until 11 tonight. So this one goes a little bit longer than the one over here in Missouri. But there is a chance that they do extend that watch, which they have already at least expanded this watch through Decatur and Taylorville and even near Charleston. So a lot of areas actually expanded into this watch back over in central Illinois. Back over east and north of Peoria, again, these storms are mostly just wind and hail, but they're pretty marginal threats at this point. You have Brandon Kopic, again, on Radar Omega and on YouTube, that it was chasing out here, and wow. That is unbelievable. Look at the sunset. Sun is setting on the right side of your screen. Let me try to full screen this more. Did not think we'd be panning into Brandon here. Here you go. Just a better view. That is stunning. That is a stunning sunset here in central Illinois. This is looking behind him. This is looking west. That is crazy. He's out here east of Springfield. It's a wild sunset. Jeez. Alright, let's go back to Missouri here. And the weather's actually awesome. Well, those storms are kind of making it look like that, too. So you gotta think of it that way. Nice weather does come with a cost sometimes. John, I don't know who that is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know who Adam the Woo is, but no clue who that is. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is a tornado warning for Muscle Fork near Marceline in Missouri. Moving down to the south-southeast at about 30 miles per hour. Continue to stay in your safe place if you're in the pink polygon. Does expire in 14 minutes. Rotation does not look as strong as before. I'm not as concerned about this storm when it comes to a tornado threat, but there's definitely still damaging winds and hail for sure. Moving down to the south right now. And south-southeast. Sirens are going off here in Randolph County, Missouri. Yeah, that'll be continuing all the way through this warning. And sometimes sirens go off for wind and hail even, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, Michigan is done for today. If you're in Michigan, you're good. How's Quincy, Illinois look for the rest of the night? I think most of Illinois will be wind at this point. Could get a brief tornado with any of those storms, but I think the risk is going to be on the lower side of things. Here's the latest SPC outlook. Let me just show you real quick what we're talking about for a tornado risk. This is the area that they have put under a risk still for the rest of tonight. So again, we got our 5% tornado risk, which is where the greatest confidence still exists for tornadoes. We have a large 2% area that goes from Topeka and Kansas City back into Bloomington. So central Illinois is included in that. Main concern, again, across the board will continue to be damaging winds and hail. We could still get a tornado or two. I just think the risk overall is going to be lower than what we've been dealing with really ever since about 4 or 5 o'clock when these storms first began. I think it's really going to be starting to become more just a wind threat as this mesoscale convective system continues to push down to the south and southeast. Again, depending on where you are, it's going different directions. But that's what I'm thinking as of right now. I think a lot more of a wind and hail threat at this point for these storms. But any of these storms in this environment here in central, northern parts of Missouri will continue to have a tornado risk. It's not going to be super high. It's on the lower side of things, in my opinion. So, that is the threat that I'd be expecting. How's it going, Terry? Welcome back. All right. What dedication? I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Going live on vacation. Crazy stuff. My family lives there. Make sure that they're aware of it. If you know any friends or family in the warnings, just make sure that they know. A quick message, a call, whatever it might be. Let them know that there's storms heading their way or in their area. And long term, this is going to be going towards Moberly and Columbia. Long term is Columbia. And again, Columbia is still about an hour out from these storms. Mostly going to be a wind threat, but we could still get an isolated tornado. Still have a tornado warning here for about 9 more minutes or so. Guess you need to add an extra few days for my vacation. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been a nice vacation, but I do want to get back to doing weather. As crazy as it might sound. I've enjoyed it, but cannot last forever. I've been on vacation for 2 months now. It really feels like I've been gone for that long. I've only been gone since Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday, so it feels like it's been a long time, though. By the way, latest velocity scan does not show really anything here. If we go back one scan, you'll kind of see it looks more like a wind threat at this point. Rotation does not appear really that apparent here. Looks mostly like a wind threat again. So this warning does expire in 9 minutes. We'll see if they cancel it or just kind of let it continue here. But the main area in the track of this right now is Muscle Fork. If you're back over in Marceline, I would continue to stay in your safe place for the wind and hail threat, but the tornado risk has dropped to your south now. How often am I going to go live after severe weather season? Honestly, I'll probably, if severe weather season kind of dwindles more as we go into July, August, and September, and there's no hurricanes or anything like that, I'll probably just do more members-only streams of just random stuff. We might not, I mean, we only do weather-related streams on the main channel for, you know, public or whatever, but members-only, we kind of do some other stuff. If the weather's quiet, we'll do some other random stuff, but that's for members-only. But we only do weather-related stuff, so, you know, if there's still severe weather, we'll go live for it, obviously. If there's hurricanes, we'll go live for it. You know, all that sort of stuff. I do a recent interview with a news reporter. No. Should have another radar scan, by the way, in just a moment on this. So we'll see if there's any improvement on the rotation and whatnot in a second. You go live and just interact with the chat? Maybe. Thank you, Ted, by the way, for the $10 donation. Thank you, D, for becoming a Velocity member. I try to interact a lot of the time at the end of streams, but since I'm still technically on vacation, I probably won't do that in this stream. Just gonna be live until things look a little bit less concerning. Thank you, Ted, by the way, appreciate that. No message. I do appreciate your generosity. Thank you. Where did this go? Thank you, Epic. Appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a 1-month member. At this point, if you're anywhere south of these storms, again, your main concern will be wind and hail. Tornado risk will continue, but again, it's going to be on the lower side of things. Still got the storms in central Illinois as well, that are mostly wind and hail. Still some lightning out there as well. None of this really is rotating. I mean, there could be some rotation, but nothing looking concerning right now in terms of a tornado risk. We go back through the last 7 scans on velocities. This is all a wind threat right here, so we got a leading edge of very high damaging winds moving towards Pontotoc and Chenoa and Lexington. And then the other storms near Peoria are also doing the same thing, but mostly just a lower threat for damaging winds there. Not seeing any tornado risk, though, imminent there in central Illinois. We also got a 70-mile-per-hour wind threat south of Monroe City. Yeah, that's near Perry Center, going towards Vandalia. This would probably be the storm activity that does impact St. Louis. So if you're in St. Louis, this would be the area I'd be watching for right here. That's kind of on track to go towards St. Louis. Mostly a wind threat. Hollenbeck, I couldn't tell you. It's a crazy sort of phenomenon that I can fit on rides being 8'6". It's pretty crazy stuff. I actually bumped into somebody that knows me, obviously as Max Velocity, and you know, they even saw my height. It's crazy. 8'6". Thank you, Delaney, for becoming a member. Thank you, Danielle, also for becoming a VIP Velocity member. Really appreciate the generosity. Do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to include Meadville, Laclede, Brunswick, Keatisville, Higbee, Moberly. That's all going to be for damaging winds up to 70. Golf ball sized hail. And there's also a tornado possible label on that storm. And with all that said, the tornado warning was just canceled a few minutes early, so it has been canceled. Thank you also, Heather, for the very generous $50 Venmo. You are crazy. I do appreciate your generosity. Thank you, Heather. Some hearts in the chat for Heather. Also put some hearts in the chat for Daniela for becoming a VIP Velocity member. I do appreciate the generosity. How was your trip? I'm still on my trip. I'm still going to Magic Kingdom actually tomorrow. But it's been awesome. Fun fact, Max is 7'3" and a former D1 center. I'm actually 8'6". Look at Brandon, it's beautiful. Let me look. Wow. This is Brandon Kopic again. He's live on YouTube and on Radar Omega, which again, you can download the Radar Omega app with the top link in the description below. Unbelievable sunset here. Yeah, just east of Springfield, Illinois. Absolutely stunning. This is gonna be the highlight of the day. Absolute highlight of the day here in Missouri. One time I went to Disney was for my daughter's cheer competition. Have no desire to go back. I feel you. They can be very hit or miss. I mean, sometimes it's really fun. Sometimes you wait in a lot of lines. Varies a lot. Varies a lot. A particularly beautiful sunset. Absolutely. PBS. Seen that in Kansas City. Yeah, check Storm Intermedia here. They're in that area. Now, they have a pretty similar view right now. That's Storm Intermedia. They are currently near the Tonganoxie area of Kansas. They're just west of Kansas City. Actually, a pretty beautiful view there, too. Oh, so 3 teams and just me? Now I feel you. Makes a lot more sense. Did I ride Tower of Terror? I did. I rode almost everything. I did not do It's a Small World, but did basically everything. I am glad, though, that today's risk has not been as bad as I thought it might, because I thought today actually could be a really big day. It was already a big day to begin with. I mean, we had upwards of softball-sized hail with some of the storms back over in northern Missouri, but like the wind and hail threat obviously has been the main concern. It still is. Tornado risk luckily has not panned out. I thought we might get a few more tornadoes than what we've had. We've only had 1 confirmed so far today. We may have had 2, possibly 1 here near the Marceline area of Missouri, but it has not been too shabby. This was really the main corridor where I thought the greatest tornado risk would be, and it never really panned out to be super significant. And by the way, tomorrow's risk of severe weather, I'm not sure if we will be live for that. I have no clue. But this is the main area tomorrow that we will be going live for if we do, in the Central Plains. So something to watch for. I will consider a live stream for that. And also there's another risk in the Northeast. We will not have a video tomorrow because I am going to still be on vacation. I am still technically on vacation tomorrow, but I should be able to get back in time to go live for that risk back over in the Central Plains if need be, but I'm not sure yet. Brandon Kopic just tweeted on Twitter, EDS sunset on stream. That's what we were just looking at a moment ago. So, that's literally, somebody mentioned that in chat too. Yeah, retweet that. That is literally crazy. They have issued a new severe thunderstorm watch. Let me just pull it up here real quick. This is going to include St. Louis. It will also include just south of Springfield, back near Champaign, in Columbia in Missouri. This is going to be a watch that goes all the way until 1 a.m. tonight. So 1 a.m. tonight for those areas. Can we have a vlog? I'm not doing a Disney vlog. If you want, you can get a cameo, and I might be able to do it here from Disney. But I'm not going to do any sort of vlogs or anything like that. Especially since tomorrow's my last day. But we are doing cameos. If you need a cameo, if you want to, or you don't really need it, but if you want a cameo, if you want a personalized video, you can check that out with the link in the description. Again, it's a personalized video platform. You get a personalized video for any occasion, or, you know, anything in general. Just request it, and I'll probably do it. I was gonna do a vlog, but, like, I just don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like being one of those people that walks around with a phone and is like, hey, everybody, you know, I'm in Disney. I just don't feel like doing that. Want an answering machine message? That'd be actually hilarious. Actually, I would do that. That'd be pretty funny, depending on what it is. I'll need a cameo come finals, so I can study instead of doing or watching weather. I actually fully 100% think I need a cameo for that as well. Because I still have finals, not now, but like, going into December. I'm definitely going to be more focused on weather than, finals. I've always been like that, even though I still do good on finals. What stopped the storms from developing in Chicago? I'm not really sure because I was not watching. I didn't really watch the weather that closely today. I'm guessing there might have been some sort of morning convection that kind of stabilized the environment, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Because, again, I was not, looking at the weather all day today. I usually do with these sort of events, but, again, I'm on vacation. It's not going to be the same sort of knowledge that I'm going to have on, like, a typical day, if you know what I mean. So, not entirely sure, but I'm guessing that's probably it. Otherwise, there's just, like, a cap in place or something like that that prevented it. Could have been even a mix of the two. But if there's morning convection, then that was probably what stopped it, is my guess. Any threats for Indianapolis? Probably not. Mostly just lightning at this point. Gusty winds. And that's it. Because this storm activity here in Indiana is kind of weakening out. The only significant storm activity that's really left is here in Illinois, which is mostly, again, wind and a level of hail, but it's really not much. Maybe up to quarter-sized hail. Mostly wind and lightning. And then the storms here in Missouri will probably be the most significant for the next few hours, in my opinion. I think these will probably be the worst storms that we have for the next several hours, where there will continue to be a wind threat and hail threat, with tornadoes still being possible. Even though the threat isn't as high as before, there's definitely at least a tornado risk with these storms. What is the likelihood of a 10-plus tornado outbreak at some point this month? I guess you mean 10 or more tornadoes. I would say it's relatively... What day is it? 13th? I mean, there's a possibility next week. But I do not currently see a full-fledged tornado outbreak. Maybe sometime next week, though. We do have a day 5, I think, now, slight risk, back over here in Minnesota. That looks interesting. But I don't see anything super organized. I think we're going to have a really strong bridge for a solid chunk of at least the middle of the month, which will bring a heat wave. But I think the bulk, if we do end up seeing any sort of outbreak, it would probably happen in the Midwest or Central or Northern Plains. So that'd be the area to watch for. But even then, I don't see any major outbreaks in the near future. With that said, I've very minimally looked at the weather over the last 7 days, as I've mentioned multiple times. Let me just quickly pull up the jet stream and I'll show you guys real quick what we'd be talking about when it comes to some sort of outbreak potential beyond today. Give me 1 second. I'll show you the jet stream. This gives us a pretty good idea of large-scale features and see if there's anything coming. So this is the future radar on the jet stream. So past this weekend, we'll continue to have a large ridge on the eastern tier of the United States. Here's your jet stream on Sunday. We will have probably a large storm as we go into Monday and Tuesday of next week. This could bring tornadoes and some sort of maybe outbreak to Minnesota, but as of right now, it's still uncertain. But after that, I don't see anything. That would probably be the main concern, though, would be next week. After that, beyond, the middle, or at least the beginning of next week, it looks to be pretty quiet by the tail end of next month. Or this month, sorry, so the end of June. So basically, what I'm saying here is that I think if we have an outbreak, it would probably happen on either Monday or Tuesday. And then as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, things quiet down again when it comes to a tornado threat. So that's at least what I'm looking at here over the next, few days, and at least for the long-term stretch of weather. When it comes to at least outbreaks. Obviously, we could still see small-scale events where there are tornadoes. Could even see a tornado outbreak out of small-scale events like we had in Maryland. But, that sort of stuff is much harder to predict long-term. Small-scale stuff like what we've been seeing more recently is something that can be more difficult to predict in nature. Apparently our tornado warning counter was -2. It's definitely 0. Should be fixed now. I did not notice that. My apologies. Accidentally clicked the button too many times. I am not home. Again, this here is a bench I'm sitting on in a hotel in Disney World. I'm not home. We did not upgrade the weather studio to have this bench in the background. I'll be back to the weather studio, though, again tomorrow. Check the bats in Texas. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that happens right now, doesn't it? Where are the bats at? Let's see. There you go. There are the bats. It's like every night. I think it's like every night this time of the year these bats take off. Bats are taking off here in Texas near Cocan. Thank you, by the way, Brian, for the $20 Venmo. Appreciate your generosity for mouse ears. Thank you for your generosity. Appreciate that. We really need to get a bat emoji on this channel. I keep thinking about it. Just haven't gone to it. This is the Burlington, Kansas Radar Omega Cyclone port, which again, you can watch these live cams in their app with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android for only $8.99. It comes with this feature. You can see the sunset here in Kansas. Over in Burlington. There are going to be some storms going towards Burlington, Kansas here pretty soon. Probably going to just stay west of Burlington, but might get some cool shots of that. You can also watch Storm Chasers in the app with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. Got plenty of storms right now across Missouri, Illinois, Kansas that are all currently producing a threat, or at least some level of severe weather with mostly a wind and hail threat as of right now. There's a live cam for the cave in San Antonio. Watch the bats fly around. We'll have to do that sometime. Bats heading for Culver's. Bats are going to Taco Bell. I think they'll be going to Culver's over Taco Bell, just gonna be honest with you. St. Louis tornado. Again, I don't expect any sort of tornado risk in St. Louis. I think really it's going to be mostly a wind threat by the time the storms get to you. Could still see something on the briefer side of things, but I think it'll be mostly wind. That'll be the main concern. I know I'm muted. Thank you. I'm well aware. Why is Florida a foot under water, but the National Drought Monitor still says they're in a drought? Well, the Drought Monitor only updates once a week, and I think that's every Thursday, and a lot of the rain just fell. So, there's definitely going to be a drought there still, especially since they are in a big drought. I don't know how much of a drought they're actually in. Some parts of Florida are in higher droughts than others. But Florida's just been under a drought for this entire time. There's just been so little rain this entire season, essentially. And winter, we did not have that much rain, and it's kind of translated also into the spring. And so that might also go into the summer too. So it's just been very dry. But it doesn't just take, I mean, obviously there's been upwards of 20 inches of rain in some spots, but that doesn't remove the entire drought for every area. We gotta go back to here real quick. We'll see what Stormer. I'm gonna go back to Storm Intermedia here real quick. We'll see what they're looking at. They're looking at that sunset back over in Kansas. Checking out on them real quick. 4 trillion gallons of rain dumped. I saw that. That's Florida had 4 trillion gallons of water dumped in the state, which is pretty crazy. Silly question, but if I got Radar Omega, can I check the bats on it? I mean, you can watch the reflectivity and see them. They don't have a bat camera on Radar Omega, but you can see it on reflectivity of them taking off. Like what we're looking at here, you can see that on the app. You can see that happening in real time. And the velocities show the directions that they're going to. These are going towards the radar, these going away from the radar. They're kind of diversing out here. Bat NATO confirmed. This is legitimately a Bat NATO with the velocities. Did Michigan get missed? They had some severe weather. Most of it, though, was near Lansing and back over right along the Indiana and Michigan border. So not really much happened throughout the rest of the state. All these black circles are representing damage reports. So we had a big cluster near South Bend, and we also had one, a couple different ones. One east of Kalamazoo and the other one just southwest of Lansing. The majority of the stuff happened. Maybe a bat cam? I'll have to look into that. If you guys do see any bat cams, feel free to message me on like Twitter or something with the links to it. We'll definitely look into using one in a future live stream. Googling how much a trillion is? It's a lot. Let's just say that. It is a lot. We're all of a sudden back up to 21 severe thunderstorm warnings. What has happened? We were down to like 7. And we've jumped all the way back up to 21. A couple of warnings are about to expire as we hit 8:45, but wow. Warnings have just jumped again. I know nobody's asked yet, but are you home? I've been asked that at least like 30 times. Again, I'm in my hotel. Still on vacation. But I'm here because there's really pretty crappy weather here, at least tonight. I'm getting Radar Omega. Yeah, it's a great app. I mean, again, they obviously sponsor our channel, but it is a really great app. It's, in my opinion, the best weather app that you can get on the market, even regardless of them sponsoring me or not sponsoring me. It's 100% the best app. When it comes to all the features that it comes with, it's just hands down the best one on the market right now. The live cameras, live storm chasers, you just have, this app continues to improve. I mean, like legitimately, when I got this a year ago, the amount of features that they had was not nearly as many as they have now. Like they've continually upgraded this app, like literally. They always have a big update, it seems like every like 2 or 3 months. Always big features. I mean, they got the new radar sweep now, which is super beneficial for us so we can see the radar sooner. But like there's just so many things that have continued to add it up and, you know, makes this app even better. There's also a bunch of live storm chasers and more live cameras they keep adding. So really fantastic, especially for what we do, for providing coverage and all that. Thank you, by the way, William, for the $10 donation. Let me check this out real quick. For the weather coverage, no problem at all. Appreciate your generosity. Thank you, William. What am I eating? I'm eating Raising Cane's. Very periodically right now. But we'll be legitimately eating it here probably in a few minutes. Back over near Amarillo. I do want to hop over to that real quick. Let's go to Amarillo. We have a few storms developing near Amarillo in Texas. These are all outflow-driven storms, but we do have a big storm over Amarillo right now. We also got another one near Vega. Mostly a wind threat, but big storm right now. Going through right through the heart of Amarillo. Mostly a wind threat. And again, Kansas, mostly a wind threat. This is all just kind of lined up as another outflow-driven area of thunderstorms. These storms are racing down to the south and southeast throughout a large chunk of Kansas, and now going into Oklahoma here shortly. Mostly a wind threat. Same thing with the storms near Wichita and Emporia. And then the Topeka storms near Manhattan are also mostly just wind and hail. And then the storms back over in central Missouri are also mostly wind and hail. Looks like the tornado risk is dropping quite a bit at this point. Still going to exist at least for the next couple hours, but at least for the time being, the tornado risk does appear a little bit lower. We still got storms that are going to be going towards St. Louis, as I mentioned before, but right now the storms going towards St. Louis are not severe. We do have a little bit of convection just north of St. Louis that might kind of stabilize the environment, meaning that these storms here might not be as intense once they get to St. Louis. So, at least for the time being, it does appear as if those storms will not be nearly as crazy as they get closer. But at the bare minimum, we are still looking at some wind, some hail, at least to some extent. Tornado risk should be very close to 0 for St. Louis, but still stay weather aware and obviously have multiple ways to receive alerts. Illinois continues to be mostly a wind threat as well. Not really seeing anything here that, again, looks concerning when it comes to a, major tornado threat. But definitely at least still looking at a threat for damaging winds. There is a little bit of circulation possibly here, but we're going to check this out in the next radar scan. If it doesn't look too crazy, we'll go away from it. But there's at least something there on the velocities near Anchor. So we'll give it another radar scan here. But I think that might just be contamination, but we'll check it out. An unwarned area of at least just wind. I think this is just wind here, because it's all, for the most part, the leading edge of the wind threat. But we do have a little bit of circulation there just southeast of Anchor. So we'll see what the next radar scan shows. Going towards Gibson City here in Illinois. Give it one scan and see what happens. No problem, Carrie. No problem, Dreamer. Alright, here's the latest scan. Alright, so that was just contamination. It looks like we may have had, like, a tornado trying to form there. But I think it just kind of embedded in the rain. I think this is, again, mostly just a wind and hail threat as these storms move east. So if you're in Paxton, Gibson City, those areas, just continue to stay weather aware. But the main concern will be wind there. And Missouri, mostly wind and hail. Could get an isolated tornado. I think that tornado risk will still be on the, lower side of things here for the next couple of hours. And I think after about midnight or so, the severe weather threat really drops off. So probably got another 2 to 3 hours left of the severe weather, and we should be done after that. Let's go to the future radar on Radar Omega. We'll use the HRRR model. Give you an idea of what's happening for the next few hours. So this is the latest radar run. So this is right around 8 o'clock. So again, storm's still out there. This is 9 o'clock. So notice how those storms continue to move down to the south and east across both Missouri and as well as Illinois. Placement is kind of a bit hit or miss here, but just kind of go with the timing here. So this is around 10 o'clock, and storms continue in Illinois and as well as Missouri. By 11 or so, I think these storms really start to fizzle out more, especially across parts of eastern Missouri and southern parts of Illinois. We'll still have some convection out there, I think, across much of Missouri, but I think the main concern will, again, just be damaging winds. After midnight tonight, this becomes much more disorganized, with mostly a wind threat as this moves down to the south. Same thing with Illinois. Eventually, into the overnight hours, these storms really fizzle out, especially the storms back over in Kansas and Oklahoma. Those are all outflow driven, so those will definitely weaken, I think, after midnight. These storms might stick around a little bit in Missouri and Illinois after midnight, but I think the main concern will be damaging winds and some isolated large hail. So that's all I'm really expecting for the rest of tonight. With all that said, that is going to conclude this live stream, or live coverage for today. Again, this is kind of just an sort of emergency live stream, if you will. Not really an emergency, but just kind of some quick little coverage as I am still on vacation. I will be back again in the weather studio tomorrow night. So if we have to go live tomorrow, we'll be back in the weather studio. But if not, we will be back Saturday with a video and live stream and all that sort of jazz. I do want to give you a couple quick reminders before we head on out. Again, check out the links in the description, our social media pages at MaxVelocityWX on Twitter, and as well as on Facebook, as we are going to continue to post updates over on there of just various things. So you can check that stuff out. A couple other little things. We still have our merchandise. We have released more products, but on shopmaxvelocity.net, which is the link in the description, we do have a new mug and as well as a new wine tumbler with the Drunk NATO merch, so you can check that out, shopmaxvelocity.net. We have a new tumbler as well for Max Hydration. That's another little collection that we have on our store. And we also now have a wine tumbler for the Max Velocity logo. So if you want to check that out, we have also the alternate logo, and we also have the main logo for that. So that's on the same exact wine tumbler. So if you want to check that out, again, shopmaxvelocity.net. The link is down in the description. Today's live stream has been brought to you by Radar Omega. If you need a weather app to stay ahead of the storms tonight, or even tomorrow, or any given day, you can download Radar Omega with the top link in the description below for $8.99. It is 100% worth it. That's like the price of a Starbucks coffee. Trust me, I just got Starbucks. It is basically the same price. So I highly recommend you checking out Radar Omega on iOS and Android with the top link in the description below. And I do appreciate Radar Omega for sponsoring today's live stream. Also, one last reminder before we head on out. Again, we are on Cameo now, so if you want a personalized Father's Day video or something along those lines, you can also get it for another occasion. You can check this out with the Cameo link in the description. I'll try to post it in the chat as well. But again, you can simply do this. You can do literally anything. You can also click other and get a different request. We've already done a ton of these, and a lot of people enjoy them. So if you want to get one, get a personalized video from me, you can check that out with the link in the description. It'll also be posted in the chat if you want to check that out. Again, no pressure by any means, just letting you know, because a lot of people have been interested in that. If you want to become a member, somebody just asked in chat, the link is in the description. It is also the join button that's down below. The link to become a member is going to be like the second link down. It says become a member, join the Velocities. So if you want to become a member, the link is there. Also, thank you, Step, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you guys all again soon. Again, we'll be back possibly tomorrow night for severe weather coverage, but no guarantees. Doesn't look huge tomorrow, so we might just sit it out, but we'll see. All right, see you guys all again soon, and have a great rest of your night. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll